The huge meeting room on Nexus Station fell silent as Ambassador William Harris stood up from his seat. The blue-skinned aliens and the tall, insect-like beings stopped their whispers. Even the floating gas creatures in the corner stopped changing colors. Something in the human's face made them all pay attention. Harris was tired. For 5 years he had sat at this table, listening to the 7 alien races of the Galactic Council talk down to him and the other humans. For 5 long years, every meeting had been the same. Polite words, hidden insults, and constant reminders that humanity was still young. But today something in him finally broke. "I have heard enough," Harris said in a calm, steady voice. His gray hair and lined face showed the weight of 58 years, 20 of them spent trying to gain the Council's respect. He looked around the table, his voice low but sharp. "Earth and all human colonies are officially withdrawing from these talks." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. The blue-skinned diplomats froze. The insectoid beings clicked in alarm. Even the glowing gas forms dimmed in shock. At the far end of the table, Council Speaker Zerkoth, a tall being with purple scales and 4 arms, let out a sound that might have been a laugh. "Ambassador Harris, please sit down. We all get frustrated sometimes." But Harris did not sit. Instead, he reached across the table and picked up a data tablet that Zerkoth had carelessly left open. His eyes scanned the glowing text, and what he saw made his jaw tighten. It was a secret document, plans to seize 3 human mining colonies. The Council's official seal glowed at the top of the page. "This doesn't look like frustration to me, Speaker Zerkoth. This looks like you plan to steal our worlds while pretending to be our friends." Zerkoth's scales darkened, the alien equivalent of a blush. "That is simply a planning exercise," he said quickly. "We consider many possible futures." Susan Miller, the second human ambassador, stood up beside Harris. Her young face burned with anger, but her voice stayed professional. "Including futures where you break our treaties and seize our colonies after we defended your trade routes from the Promaxan raiders?" The large gray alien, named Quera, waved one of her 6 tentacles dismissively. "Your ships were barely useful in that conflict," she said coldly. "Without our guidance, your species would still be stuck on one planet." Harris pushed the data tablet across the table toward Zerkoth. "We have been patient. We have been respectful. For 20 years, humanity has asked for equal membership in this council. For 20 years, you have found excuses to deny us." He looked at each alien representative in turn. "Humanity will no longer wait for your approval. Effective immediately," he said clearly, "Earth withdraws from all agreements with the Galactic Council." The council chamber exploded in noise. Voices shouted over each other. The glowing gas beings turned bright red, the color of alarm. Harris raised his hand, and the other human representatives stood up beside him in perfect sync. Calmly, they gathered their notes and began leaving. "You need us," hissed the insectoid delegate from the Arcturian Federation. "Your colonies depend on our protection. The galaxy is dangerous for a young race like yours." Harris smiled faintly. "We've learned a great deal from our time with this council, perhaps more than you realize." Susan Miller handed Harris a small silver device. He pressed it. Instantly, every screen in the room went black. A few seconds later, they flickered back to life, empty. All data about Earth and human territories had been erased from the Council network. Gasps and angry shouts filled the chamber. "We will protect what is ours," Harris said. "If the Council wishes to speak to humanity again, it will be as equals. Until then, all diplomatic channels are closed." The human delegation turned and walked out. Their footsteps echoed across the silent chamber. Behind them, the alien delegates stared at one another in disbelief. "They will come back when they realize how foolish this is," said Cooler confidently. But Trell, the youngest council member, remained silent. His blue skin paled as he whispered, "I think we may have made a terrible mistake." Outside the council chamber, Harris paused in the corridor and exhaled slowly. After 20 years of careful diplomacy, it felt strange and good to finally stop pretending. "Send the signal to Earth," he said to Susan Miller. "It's time for Plan Omega." The underground command center in Geneva buzzed with quiet tension. Military officers, scientists, and industrial leaders filled the room. Admiral Diane Powell stood before a massive screen displaying a countdown timer. 3 minutes left. "Admiral Harris and the delegation have departed Nexus Station. Plan Omega is now active." The room stirred with anxious whispers. Some faces showed fear, others showed anticipation. 10 years of preparation had led to this moment, and now it was real. The doors opened and Dr. Alan Murphy hurried in, his white coat stained with coffee. "Sorry I'm late," he muttered, taking a seat beside General Frank Rodriguez. "Final tests on the shield generators are complete." The general's dark eyes fixed on him. "Do they work?" Dr. Murphy smiled for the first time in days. "Better than expected. The new shields can block every known Council weapon." The countdown on the main screen reached 0. Admiral Harris's image appeared, speaking from his ship on the return to Earth. "The Council reacted exactly as we predicted. They believe we'll come crawling back within weeks." Admiral Powell nodded once. "Then we proceed as planned." Around the planet, hidden bases came alive. Massive hangars opened in mountain ranges. Subterranean factories powered up engines that had slept for years. Secret fleets, built in silence, now prepared to launch. On Mars and Europa, defense grids activated. Systems the Council had never been allowed to inspect. Humanity's mask of weakness had finally dropped. In a laboratory in Arizona, Dr. Lisa Bennett supervised the installation of upgraded engines. "Will 24 hours be enough to finish them?" her assistant asked. "It has to be," Bennett replied. "The Council will realize something's wrong within 36 hours." In orbit, Captain Peter Allen read his orders aboard the patrol ship Guardian. "Set course for the Epsilon mining colony," he commanded. His first officer frowned. "That's outside our patrol zone." "Not anymore," Allen said. "Our mission just changed. We're bringing every human colony under protection." In New York, the United Nations held an emergency meeting. The Secretary General stood before the Assembly. "For too long, the Galactic Council has treated us as children," he declared. "They've taken our resources, used our labor, and given us little in return. Today, that ends." "Suppose they attack us?" asked a trembling delegate. General Rodriguez rose to his feet. "Then they'll discover we've been ready for years." Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms powered up. On every screen, the same message spread: "Stand ready, protect what is ours." In the Geneva War Room, Admiral Powell studied a holographic star map of all human settlements. "Phase 1 is complete. We have 6 months before the Council realizes what they have lost." Dr. Murphy looked up from his console. "What about the Element 935 shipments?" "That's the point," Powell replied coldly. "Let them feel the loss." 2 weeks later, the Grand Council chamber on Nexus Prime echoed with frustration. "This is a waste of time," grumbled Quera, her gray tentacles twitching. "The humans will return soon enough." But Trell's expression remained tense. "It has been 2 weeks," he said. "No human ships at trading posts, no signals, nothing." The great doors opened as Zerkath entered, followed by Makthar of the Vexari Hive. "The humans have completely withdrawn from Council space," Zerkath announced. "All communication channels are closed." "They're acting like children," Makthar hissed. "We should teach them a lesson." "By what right?" asked Trell. "They've broken no laws." Zerkath raised 2 of his 4 hands for silence. "We will freeze all human assets in Council banks, restrict their access to jump gates. Without trade or travel, they'll come begging." The vote passed swiftly, 6-1. Only Trell hesitated before agreeing. And so it was decided. The humans would be punished for their pride. Across the galaxy, news spread. In bars and spaceports, aliens laughed. "They'll be back," said a merchant smugly. "Where else can they sell their goods?" But others weren't so sure. Deep within Council command, General Dexval stared at his holomap. "Keep watching the humans," he growled. "Something about this doesn't feel right." Weeks passed. Minor problems began spreading through Council space. Luxury goods from Earth vanished from markets. Construction projects slowed without human metals. Entire entertainment sectors faltered as human artists returned home. Minister Plex brushed off the reports. "Temporary issues," he said. "We'll find replacements." But replacements never came. 2 weeks became 4, then 6. The Council expected humanity to return. They didn't. Inside the Council's private chambers, frustration grew. "Perhaps we should send an envoy," Trell suggested. Quera laughed. "And look weak? Never." "And if they don't return?" Trell pressed. "Then they'll suffer the cost of their pride," Zerkath said firmly. But as they spoke, a messenger entered, trembling. "Promaxian raiders have attacked one of our mining outposts," he stammered. "The station is gone." "Where were our patrols?" Zerkath demanded. "That sector was guarded by human ships," Makthar replied quietly. General Dexval's alarms blared through the night. He raced into the command center. "Report," he roared. "3 more mining stations hit by raiders," said his officer. 42 dead, 17 missing, cargo stolen." Dexval's jaw clenched. "Where's our fleet?" "They arrived too late," came the reply. The general stared at the map, the same human-patrolled zones now burning red. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Demand an explanation." An hour later, the reply came. Diplomatic channels closed. Human Defense Force no longer provides services to the Council. Across the stars, the consequences deepened. Merchant Guild leader Riva stood in her empty warehouse on Nexus Prime. 6 months ago, this place overflowed with Earth goods, she said bitterly. Now I have nothing. Her assistant checked his data pad. We've sent 10 messages to human traders. No response. It's not just luxuries, Riva murmured. It's the engineers, the artists, the builders. Everything feels quieter without them. Ships sat idle at docks. Entire economies began to stall. Pressure on the Council grew. Business leaders demanded an audience. "We need the humans back," shouted Krells, owner of the largest shipyard. "Production is down 60% without human labor." "Our research has stalled," added Dr. Mira. They think differently, solve things we can't. Zerkoth tried to remain calm. We've sent 6 messages to Earth. They all returned the same response. Then offer them something, Croc said. They clearly want better terms. Cooler slammed a tentacle against the floor. We don't negotiate with insubordinates. The room fell silent. Then Trell spoke softly. We may no longer have a choice. Moments later, Trell received another urgent report. The Element 935 shipment is missing again, he announced. Shock spread through the chamber. How much reserve remains? Zerkoth demanded. At our current rate, 6 months, Trell replied. Then find a new source, Zerkoth ordered. In a secure lab, Dr. Civ explained the grim truth. The Element 935 exists in only 3 known locations outside human space, each one nearly impossible to reach. Then mine them, Cooler barked. Civ projected images. Underwater on a high-gravity world, near the core of an unstable planet, or in a deadly radioactive asteroid belt. Silence filled the room. The cost would be 5 times higher than buying from humans, Dr. Civ continued, and we'd need equipment only they know how to build. Trell looked around the table. So, we don't just need their metal, we need their minds. Zerkoth's expression tightened. Prepare a diplomatic vessel, he said finally. We'll offer terms. Terms? Makthar hissed. What kind of terms? Whatever it takes, within reason. The diplomatic ship Harmony approached Earth's solar system. Captain Lux stood on the bridge, his scaled hands clasped behind him. Incoming transmission, said his officer. Admiral Diane Powell appeared on screen, calm and severe. Council vessel, state your purpose. Admiral, Lux said politely, we come bearing a message. The Council wishes to reopen talks. Transmit your message, Powell said flatly. I am authorized to speak directly. Transmit your message, Powell repeated. You are not cleared to enter Earth space. The screen went black. Lux stared, stunned. They just dismissed me, he whispered. In Geneva, Powell and Harris reviewed the Council's proposal. Full trading rights and a 10% reduction in tribute payments, Dr. Murphy laughed. After trying to seize our colonies? Pathetic. They're desperate, said General Rodriguez. Look here, they're begging for Element 935 shipments. Powell nodded. Exactly as predicted. 6 months without us, and their fleets are falling apart. Harris folded his arms. So what do we want from them? Powell's eyes narrowed. Respect on our terms. On Nexus Prime, panic spread quietly. We've searched 17 star systems, Dr. Civ reported. No usable 935. Then keep looking, Cooler snapped. There's something else, Civ continued. An old map from 10,000 years ago. The screen displayed Earth, marked with a symbol. The ancient text calls it Home of the Guardians. The chamber erupted in confusion. Guardians? Zerkoth repeated. What does it mean? We believe humans may have been space travelers long before any of us evolved, Civ said softly. They may have hidden their true history. In Earth's orbit, the space station Freedom rotated above the blue planet. Captain Peter Allen addressed the assembled officers. The Council's envoy is still waiting beyond our border, he said. They've sent 3 more messages. Orders, sir, asked Captain Jane Butler. Harris entered with Admiral Powell. "Let them wait," Harris said, smiling faintly. "Let them feel what we felt." Powell activated a holographic star map showing human expansion beyond Council space. "While they beg for trade, we've built 4 new colonies beyond their sensors," she said, "and developed shield tech they can't even imagine." "The question is," Harris said, "what do we want now?" A young officer raised his hand. "Why not leave them behind? We're doing fine alone." Harris shook his head. "Because isolation isn't progress. Cooperation is, but on equal footing." In Council space, Captain Lux received new orders. "Set course for Earth," his commander said. "Offer them full membership." The news spread like wildfire. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive, was now being offered a seat at the top. In the White House Situation Room, President Laura Grant listened to her advisers. "It's a trap," said General Rodriguez. "They want our technology and resources." "I disagree," said Harris. "They're genuinely desperate." "What do our intelligence reports show?" Grant asked. Dr. Bennett brought up a screen. "Council fleets grounded, colonies starving, raiders advancing. Perfect time to negotiate," Harris said. "Or to strike," Powell added. She pressed a button. "Captain Martinez, report." His scarred face appeared on screen. "Admiral, our fleet is in position near Nexus Prime. They have no idea we're here." "You positioned warships near their home world?" the President asked. Powell nodded. "As they once did to us." "The difference," Martinez added, "is that we're not threatening them, only watching." Back on Nexus Prime, the Council debated in panic. "Humans have not responded," Zerkath said grimly. "Then we'll remind them who rules the galaxy," Makthar growled. "We'll send the Grand Fleet." 60 warships? Trell gasped. "Over Element 935? "Not war," said Kuwera coldly. "Just a reminder." The vote passed. The Grand Fleet prepared to depart. 3 days later, the massive fleet emerged near Neptune. "Send the message to Earth," ordered Commander Vex. "Inform them we've arrived." "Sir," said the sensor officer nervously, "I'm detecting energy readings all around us, but no ships." Suddenly, hundreds of human vessels decloaked. Defense platforms lit up every moon and planet. The Council fleet was surrounded. "Council vessel dominance," came a voice. "This is Admiral Greg Martinez. You have entered restricted space. Leave now." "We come under Council authority," Vex began. "You have 30 minutes. This is not a negotiation." "Bluff," Vex's aide muttered. "Humans can't match our power fire." A small human ship fired once. A blinding beam tore through empty space, stronger than anything the Council had seen. Vex's mandibles trembled. "All ships, retreat." "But, sir, the Council—" "Doesn't understand what we're facing," Vex growled. "These aren't the same humans." The fleet turned and fled. Martinez watched in silence. "Next time, call ahead before visiting. It's only polite." When Vex's report reached the Council, silence fell. "They could have destroyed us," he said. "They didn't." "Why?" Trell asked. Because they didn't need to, Vex replied. They simply wanted us gone. Zerkath stared blankly. For decades, we treated them as children. All the while, they were building power beyond ours. We made a terrible mistake, Trell whispered. In the Council archives, Dr. Siv and his team uncovered ancient relics, stone carvings of human-like figures visiting alien worlds. Every species' oldest records mention them, Dr. Siv said. The ones who came from the stars, the Sky Guardians. So it's true, his assistant murmured. Humans helped our ancestors survive, and then vanished. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had been among the stars thousands of years before anyone else. On Earth, Dr. Murphy examined a strange metal disc found decades earlier. It's 50,000 years old, he told President Grant. Human-made. Powell stared. Then we really were spacefarers once. Genetic data confirms it, Murphy said. Traces of space adaptation remain in our DNA. Harris looked at the artifact thoughtfully. So the question becomes, do we tell the Council that we were once caretakers of the galaxy? Weeks later, the grand meeting hall in Geneva filled again. The 7 Council members sat opposite humanity's leaders. We come with open hearts, Zerkath said humbly. The Council wishes to correct its past mistakes. For 3 days they negotiated. No tricks, no lies. In the end, Earth was offered full and equal membership. Trell spoke last. We suggest Earth take the first turn as Council leader. The room fell silent. President Grant smiled gently. We don't seek to rule, only to work together. Later, as celebrations filled the night, Admiral Powell gazed at the stars. Do you think this peace will last? She asked. Yes, Grant said softly. Because this time they understand. Strength isn't domination, it's unity.